I want to start by putting sort of the concept of environmental essences out there so that there's more understanding. We have the three-part system of Alaskan essences, but how we got started was with the flowers, but next came the environmental essences, and I was very strongly urged to make the first environmental essence, which I'll tell you about. It wasn't until I had made a few of them and had experienced them that I really started to understand the gift of the environmental essences. And so what I want to do is give you a little bit of an assignment wherever you might be in the world. I want you to take a few moments to tune into your local environment. Maybe you have a place with some land or a little yard. Maybe you have a garden, and of course you're inside, sitting in front of the computer or some device. But just take a few moments to connect with your environment, your natural environment, or the closest natural environment that is around you. Because the whole idea of environmental essences comes from the fact that our environment, whatever it is in terms of the natural world, you might just have a tree that you can see out of a window, or you might be able to see mountains or whatever. But whatever it is, in the earth beneath your feet is one of the biggest allies that you have in your healing journey, in your soul journey. So it's something just to start with that sense. So I took some time this morning to tune into the local environment here and just get a sense of appreciation for the natural world that's there all the time. It's giving us energy. It's supporting us in many, many ways. And I think it's possible, I know I do it, I think it's possible for a lot of us to just kind of get used to it and not really pay that much attention to it. So it's a good idea to always be recognizing or developing, is a better word, a relationship with your local environment. So it's something that starts wherever we are. Again, it doesn't matter where you live, and it goes out from there. So the Alaskan environmental essences are unique or distinct because they're made in extremely powerful natural environments. Well, it's what we call an intact environment. So there's a difference between an environment that has been co-created for 100 years or so in a big city, and then there's a natural, mostly untouched environment like you might find in Alaska. So we're talking about levels. We're talking about levels of integrity and intact elemental energy. So what the environmental essences are representing is energetic integrity at the highest possible level. It's what we call pure, balanced energy. So that means that the four elements, air, earth, fire, and water, are in balance. They're working together. There may be some of them that are more front and center than the others, but they're all working together in harmony. Humans get a sense, or many of us can have a sense of being separate from the environment. There's a sense of, there's me and my body and my house or my car or whatever the things that I have. But we are not separate. None of us are separate from the environment in any way. And it's not just the natural environment in Alaska, but it's any environment. So any place you've ever been, any picture you've looked at, there's a connection that's been made. We are not separate from the elemental energies that make up all of nature. We're not separate from the landscape. We're not separate from the sky, from the mountains, from the flowers. We are made up of the same things. We're all composed of the same basic elements. And the rest of creation is also made up of the same thing, and we constantly talk to each other. There's a constant conversation going back and forth. It's not something you get up in the morning and think about necessarily. But this conversation is going on between the environment and your physical body consciousness. And it's interesting that it's not necessary for the mind to be involved in this conversation, because it goes along fine without. But what we want to do is bring our awareness to this conversation, and it's simply quieting the mind in order to do that, and just noticing. Of course, it's helping if you're sitting out on the lawn, or if you have a bit of nature around you, to go out and just sit and contemplate. So part of what I'm offering today is a reminder to tune in and notice this conversation that goes on all the time, and it's, sort of listen in and see what's happening. As we become more of a conscious part of this conversation, we can then start to direct, if you will, the environmental energies, the elemental energies, for our own personal healing. So there's a certain amount of general sustenance and nurturing, but we can start to activate more, and in a maybe the best way of saying it is to become a conscious co-creator with the elemental forces. So again, it's a sense of the ground connecting to Mother Earth, connecting into something that is home. It's a sense of home on this earth, home on this planet, and recognizing that there is a tremendous amount of support, very precise on the one hand and very all-encompassing on the other hand. In other words, there's nothing that's going on with our beings, with our bodies, with our energy fields, that cannot be helped with the environment, that cannot be helped with the environmental essences.